Feel the sound tomorrow. The Iditarod Fun just starts hours from now. We check in on preparations in Anchorage and Fairbanks. Plus,
not even close. There's still a lot of work to be done on the new Burled Arch before it welcomes mushers in Nome this year. We'll check in with the musher who's crafting it.
Mild winter temperatures means more rain as we finish out February and start off the month of March. I'll let you know how warm it will get.
And Star the reindeer stolen. The pet is back home now, but is still feeling the impacts.
Hosanna's a good.
And what looked like a warm welcome at the White House this morning ended in a spat between the United States' top leaders and the president of Ukraine. We have Alaska reaction.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
As a tourist, I'm visiting the Iditarod.
I've seen a couple of them before, and they're a fantastic spectacle.
I expect to have this snow from all the way to the hotel, all the way down to D Street and past.
So we've had it where there's been beautiful weather. We've had it when it's been cold and with a lot of winter snow, and then this year.
The gentleman that took us summer dog sledding up in Willow, he's in the Iditarod, so we're going to try to find him tomorrow morning.
People are gathering in Anchorage before tomorrow's Iditarod starts.
But one thing's for sure, there is no snow on 4th Avenue. Let's see. Let's take a look at what it looked like this afternoon.
And crews are working this evening to change that with trucking in that snow, of course. We'll also look at the weather conditions for the start and the restart.
Yeah, but first, there's a new addition to the finish line this year.
Not even close.
All hands are on deck after the Burled Arch collapsed last year.
The Iditarod Arch is one of the symbols of the race, but as mushers prepare to head to Nome, there's no arch on Front Street.
Eric Soul heads to Willow, where the new arch is in the finishing stages of getting ready to take its place in Iditarod history.
At Northern Spirits Rustics in Willow, that sound is the clock ticking. The Iditarod clock.
I've had 2 people or myself working on this basically every day.
This 2,800-pound Sitka spruce log.
This is a piece of art, and it'll be a piece of history.
Is looking more like the famous Finnish arch.
Pencil it and chisel it all out. We burned in the Alaska. We burned in a dog team at the far end. We got the Iditarod emblem, the shield.
Ready for Nome?
Not even close.
There's still sanding to be done.
Cleaning out all these little places with these special little tiny sanders.
Then the log needs to be treated and stained.
I have a lot of good help. And then I'll take it to my log yard, and then I cut in a mortise, and so I can put in a big post that'll have a tenon that goes right up inside the log. And then I'll put a few hidden fasteners.
A lot of work, and it's a long way to Nome.
1,049 miles. Yeah, this is quite a project to take on just for anybody. The size of the log, just the scope of it. And then the logistics are another thing. We got to get this to Nome now, so.
Hold her there, Abe. Don't let it move.
As the mushers head up the trail, Ramey Smith is confident the arch will be at the finish.
Now we can see the daylight at the end of the tunnel.
There's no scratching in this race.
The iconic emblem of the finish.
Eric Soul, Alaska's news source.
Now, the logs of that new arch should be heading to Nome on Monday, starting its journey for the same day, or on the same day, for Nome as the mushers do.
And roads downtown Anchorage, of course, are closed tomorrow for the Iditarod.
Yeah, there's also a lot of area where parking is not allowed. So this map here showing the closures. They are mostly 4th Avenue between Cordova and I Street, and the blocks around 4th. Also, Cordova, many closures between 4th and 16th. You will be able to get across it on 9th and 15th, but please expect delays.
At Northern Start for an Alaska tradition, for the first time since 2017, the Iditarod takes off from Fairbanks.
And Alex Bangle reports from the starting line.
Here at Pike's Waterfront Lodge, preparations are underway. From moving snow to marking trails, the community is getting ready for Monday's restart. On Sunday, more helpers with the Iditarod are scheduled to arrive at Pike's to help set up barriers before the big day. There will be limited parking in the area, so those looking to attend the start of the race are asked to use a shuttle service from the Carlson Center starting at 8 a.m. This service will run people back to the center after the day's festivities end. According to the Fairbanks coordinator for the race, the starting line will be on Hazelton Road in front of the lodge, with snow being transported there for that purpose. And the event is expected to draw a crowd.
This year, for example, they're going to take 1,000 kids in school buses and take them down to Broadmoor so they can go on the river and watch it, which is great for the kids. But the community will show up, even though it's Monday and they got to work. The place will be a disaster, I'm sure. But we got to organize so they'll all be fenced off, that they can go to the river.
The 2025 Iditarod is set to restart at 11 a.m., with the dog team taking off every 2 minutes. Once they've begun, each team will run underneath the arch right behind me. This marks the 4th time Fairbanks has hosted the event. Alex Spengel, Alaska's news source.
And of course, there's a big push to know what the weather looks like for this weekend.
Meteorologist Jackie Purcell joins us now with the forecast for Anchorage's Iditarod start, the Fairbanks restart, all things Iditarod weather. Jackie?
Well, it's looking on the mild side here in the Anchorage area, and because of that, that's the whole reason they're having to go to a Fairbanks for the restart. We are looking at a snow deficit here in the Anchorage area, and even temperatures that are too warm to give us any snow. You can see there's a snow-rain mix in the higher elevations only, but rain coming in across parts of Prince William Sound into interior Alaska. The skies remaining mostly clear as we head into this evening. And the Iditarod forecast is also for mild temperatures into interior Alaska. So here's a look at the upper levels. You can see the warming trend into interior Alaska, not quite as warm over to the west, which is where those teams will be heading. Here's a look at the south central region. So into our Saturday, that's when we'll see some mostly cloudy conditions, and coastal areas will see that precipitation just to the north. They will be looking at also some pretty mild conditions going into Monday in Fairbanks. But for the start here in Anchorage tomorrow morning around 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll start out with temperatures into the mid-20s. By afternoon, we're up to 39 degrees. On Monday in Fairbanks, they'll be up to 35, and they'll start out the day at 12 degrees. So we'll have more on the forecast coming up, but also mushers will be dealing with the weather across the interior as they do race toward Nome. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry gives us a preview of it.
The weather is always a factor in the last great race, from extreme snow to extreme wind, bitter cold, and even in a few years, extreme heat and low snow. Now, this year will be one of those years, at least for the start of the race. The snow shouldn't be an issue. The race was forced to move to Fairbanks to find the snow, and they found it. The snow depth is still above average in Fairbanks with more than 2 feet on the ground. And it's looking good for snowpack further down the trail. The Yukon is frozen solid, reporting an ice depth of 19 inches in Galena, along with a snow depth of close to 2 feet. Now, further south, Anvik has significantly less snow, but still reporting 9 inches. And the ice and snow are looking relatively solid along the coast all the way to Nome. But while there may be enough ground cover, the temperatures are likely going to be a challenge. Heat is currently being pumped across Alaska from a large area of low pressure in the northern Pacific. This will force temperatures in the interior to climb 15 to 20 degrees this week. Now, Fairbanks typically sees low temperatures about 10 below zero, reaching about 20 above for highs in early March. This year will be much warmer, with above freezing conditions likely Monday when teams leave the city and head west. As the dogs and their mushers reach Tanana midweek, they'll still be running in temperatures above freezing during the day and only falling into the mid to upper teens overnight. Warm air will blanket the interior all the way to Anvik, but by the end of the week, there is hope for cooler conditions along the coast. Now, the first half of the race will also likely bring dry conditions, but we're going to have to wait a few more days to see what Mother Nature brings for the end of the race. For Alaska's news source, I'm Melissa Fry.
And tomorrow you can catch our coverage of the Iditarod ceremonial start in downtown Anchorage.
It's live on Channel 2 and our live stream and on our website and free streaming channels. Then follow the race with our daily coverage.
Well, Anchorage police are actively investigating after someone tried to steal Star the reindeer.
Video surveillance footage shows a man hopping the fence last Thursday into Star's yard near the park strip, then cutting the lock to his pen while the deer follows him out. Star was found several hours later downtown in Anchorage, and he was returned home by police. Find a lot more details on this story posted on our website.
And still ahead, an Oval Office argument.
Details on the exchange that left a press conference with Ukraine's president canceled.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
And tonight, Alaskans are reacting to a heated exchange in the Oval Office today while President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance were meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Now, Zelensky was in Washington to sign a deal which would have given the U.S. access to some of Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for continued support in its war with Russia.
Well, toward the end, the trio started to argue.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Now, Zelensky ended up leaving the White House not long after that contentious exchange, and the two sides did not sign that rare earth minerals deal. A scheduled news conference with the two leaders was also scrapped.
Now, after the meeting, President Trump told reporters that he thinks Zelensky overplayed his hand.
And Zelensky did speak to Fox News this afternoon, saying that he respects the president and the American people, but he's not sure that he, quote, did anything wrong or bad.
The executive director of the nonprofit serving almost 1,000 Ukrainians who came to Alaska to escape the war under what's called humanitarian parole say that many right now are scared to speak out based on what they saw today.
I have heard people say, that it is insulting, but Ukrainians who are here on such thin ice are scared to open up their mouth and say something against America right now because they understand that they want to be here. They want to be part of that promised golden era. They want to build their lives.
Now, that comes as UAF professor Igor Pasternak, who was born and raised in Ukraine when it was part of the Soviet Union, has participated in Fairbanks solidarity rallies since the war began. He says the negotiations have been difficult to watch.
It's a total insult for everyone. Like talking about profits, talking about minerals, talking about cards in your hands, while this war already probably took over 1 million lives. And a lot of them are civilians, and a lot of them are children.
The leader of Alaska's Ukraine Relief Program says there is now much uncertainty since humanitarian parole, which is why many of those Ukrainians can be in Alaska legally and work here, are worried, since that program operates at the president's discretion.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.